I need new music.
This is the JJO Discover New Music Podcast.
Welcome to another edition of Discover New Music. It's Brock, and joining me today, very excited to chat new music with the lead singer of Sleeping with Sirens, Kellin Quinn. Kellin, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking the time. Obviously, you guys are busy on the road doing all that fun rock and roll stuff. But let's talk new music here. The new album, which dropped in October, Complete Collapse. 7th studio album. So obviously you boys have done it. You've been, hashing it out since 2009. Was there one or maybe some things that stood out in the making of this one, maybe that you haven't seen with the other albums?
Yeah, it was the first record after a pandemic. So that was new. Honestly, I think it was the most recharged the band has been. We've been a band that's notoriously just toured. And this was a time where we were forced to go home and to be humans. So I think a lot of self-reflection and just being recharged and excited to make music again and having that positive energy in the studio was a great thing. So it didn't feel like we have to get this done to get it done type of thing. It was hey, let's go make a record because we want to, which is... Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that we haven't not wanted to make records before. I think the last record was also a very positive one. But yeah, there has been records where we've been obviously just way too low on energy and drive and probably shouldn't have been in the studio,
Yeah. It's an interesting take. And a lot of bands and artists I've talked to, the pandemic, if there is any silver lining on there, it was that moment to recharge. It was that moment to, look into yourself or just, see where you're at as an artist, as a band. Do you think you got a different album? Let's say the pandemic didn't happen. You guys got right in there. Is it a completely different album than what we see now with a Complete Collapse?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I think that if the pandemic didn't happen, we probably would have toured that record extensively and we didn't get a chance to. I think we did maybe 2.5 tours and then the pandemic happened. We didn't even scratch the surface. I think we did 2 US runs and that was pretty much it. So I think that we probably would have toured that record a lot more and who knows what the next one would have sounded like. But I think you just kind of roll with the punches,
Yeah. It would be so interesting to see maybe albums that would have happened sooner if it wouldn't have been for what happened. But now we have all this great music from artists, including Sleeping with Sirens, from what has happened. And we see that with Complete Collapse. I took some time. Obviously, everyone's heard a lot of the singles, and we'll get into those. This album really does not take the foot off the pedal. Was that something when you're going in where you guys all right, let's just do what we do. Let's just full throttle this thing because it leaves you kind of sweaty afterwards.
Yeah, I think that we really enjoy the live aspect of being in this band, and our favorite songs to play live are the ones that are high energy. So we definitely wanted to add some new high energy tracks to our set list. I think that was kind of the motivation behind the record. I think we're getting kind of tired of playing some of the classics, even though I'm sure we'll still play most of them, but some new ones in, that would be ideal. But also I think just the energy of just seeing the world around us. It lent to being a heavier record just because of everything that we went through as human beings and then just things that I was going through on a personal level. Mm-hmm. I think Complete Collapse is just kind of a juxtaposition of who I was before going home and getting to spend time as a human with my family and figure out who I am underneath this character that I've portrayed for so many years. Yeah. And also just kind of the scenery around us and just kind of watching everything unfold and completely collapse. There's tons of crazy shit that was going on. So it just kind of inspired this record that is. So.
I love it, man. Well, we are getting the full taste for now. Again, Complete Collapse dropped in October and now multiple singles in and really diving into the album. And I want to talk about a couple tracks because you have a couple guest artists, including Let You Down with Charlotte Sands and then Crosses with Spencer Chamberlain of Under Oath. Obviously, very talented people. Other than them being super talented, what does that bring to the album, bringing in people like Charlotte and Spencer?
It brings another brain, I think. I'm so used to not giving parts away because I'm selfish and I don't want to. but it is nice to have someone else's take on a track and to collaborate in that way. And a lot of people say that it's not good to have too many cooks in the kitchen, but sometimes it's good to have another writer in there because I'm the only one writing lyrics and melodies. So it's so nice to have someone come in and have some ideas other than just mine. But yeah, Spencer like elevated Crosses to another level. Like I really did not like my part that I had written for the verse and the bridge, and I gave it to him, and I was just hoping that he would bring something, and he totally delivered. So he brought that song to life. I was actually on the chopping block of not making the record because I just really wasn't that stoked on those parts. And then Charlotte is just an incredible talent. And yeah, I have a hard time performing that song without her because I'm just like singing so high the entire time. Like it's nice to be able to like have someone step in and just kind of give me a breath there. But yeah, the features I think are definitely very warranted. And I think everyone brought an extra life to those songs.
Madison Solid Rock 94.1 JJO and JJO Discover New Music. Our guest this week is Kellin Quinn of Sleeping with Sirens, talking to us about their new release, Complete Collapse.
I'm Kellin.
I'm Gabe. We are, in fact, Sleeping with Sirens.
So I did want to ask about the music video for Crosses. One of the bandmates says that he doesn't care that you're the singer. You need to grab some stuff and help. So let's settle this out. Do lead singers need to load gear?
Absolutely. And trust me, I did my share of loading. I did not pack the trailer though, because I was terrible at that shit. And I never changed like the tires on the van. That was always Justin. If anything was like broken or if anything was like also I'd never drove in New York or anything like that, but I did a lot of the long drives. So I did my part.
You pulled your weight. I just wanted to make sure. I figured that was probably just for fun in the video, but that
drives,
cracked me up.
Singing well, carrying things in the venue, selling merch, did all that stuff.
Good. You earned it.
Backing up the trailer, no go. Loading the trailer, no go. But not because I couldn't do it, but because I was really bad at it. So.
Well, as long as the record's straight. All right, perfect. That's all we needed. Do you maybe have a favorite track on the album? Is there one that really speaks to you? I'm saying this kind of was a looking inward album, one that maybe really is, this is my song.
Yeah, I think that Be Happy is probably one of my favorites for like the lyrical content, but also just because it's kind of like a heavier ballad song. And I feel like we haven't had something like that in the mix since like a Trophy Father or like Fire from previous albums. And this one has like a heavy riff. It's got a good breakdown in it. And I think that it's going to be really, really fun to play live. We're actually going to be adding that to the set list now. So I'm excited about that one. I'm really excited about Control-Alt-Delete because it's got kind of like a Refuse meets At the Drive-In sound. And I just feel like that's going to be a fun one to like maybe buy a cheap Squire Fender or something and destroy it on stage type of song. If I was younger and more limber, I'd maybe dive into the drums, but I feel like if I did that now, I would definitely tear or break something. So.
Well, it's fun to see the passion in there and the excitement around that. And again, 7 albums in, that's, we always talk about, you got your freshman album and then you have the sophomore slump and then you got your senior album, 4 albums in. You guys have really put the time in. And do you see the difference maybe in how you're approaching it? Again, not jumping into the drums like you would someday, or maybe even how that transfers into writing and where you're at with the band?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I definitely think this is the last record that I'll just be singing on. I definitely am adding instruments to my repertoire as like a performer because I feel like the best bands are the ones that are able to do something other than just sing. I'm not saying that like singing isn't a talent in itself, but I just feel like as I'm getting older, I want to be able to just add something else to the mix and be able to bring more creative ideas, be it like guitar or samplers or things like that. So who knows what the next record's going to sound like, but I just know that it's going to take some time because I have to learn all this shit. But I am excited to be able to like, throw a guitar on for a song and play something there, or like grab like a drum machine and do some stuff. I just went and saw this band called Fantagram. Have you heard that band?
I have, yes. Yeah.
So like just watching them perform and just use samplers and keyboards and guitars, it's like, it's a really cool show. And you don't have to pump jump all over the place or like, do all this crazy stuff. You just play your instrument well. And so like, I'm excited about doing stuff like that in the future.
Is there one instrument, like maybe out of left field, like a piccolo or something that we could see you bust out on stage?
I think like drum machines or just pedals or maybe looper pedals where I'm like singing things and like doing my own harmonies or stuff like, weird shit like that. Like I love that the band at the drive-in and all those guys like use weird like distortion pedals on vocals and weird freak noises. I think like that's more my vibe.
I love it. I love it. So no piccolo, but maybe some other cool stuff. I love it. Well, hey man, again, congratulations on a Complete Collapse out now. Sleeping with Sirens, the 7th studio album. People are digging it, and we are. And of course, you can hear it all over the place, and then see the guys out on tour, doing all the fun stuff that they like to do. Before we go, now that we got the important stuff out of the way, I do want to ask, because I know you have a daughter and 2 stepsons. Are you still the cool rock and roll dad, or has that kind of worn off a little bit?
I try. They keep me humble. They definitely keep me humble. My daughter likes to question like the lyrics that I write and the way I sing, and she'll like mock me and stuff. The boys, they think it's a little bit cooler,
Yeah.
They like to go out on the road and help out. Like my middle stepson comes out and helps out with merch sometimes and does things like that. So they enjoy being on the road. But yeah, they keep me humble.
I just had a daughter not too long ago, and yeah, they definitely put you in your place a lot quicker than you'd expect. So for sure.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Well, I do have one last thing I want to do. It's a new bit that I came up with. Usually I do a thing called rapid fire, but I thought, you know what? You seem like a fun guy, and I think you can help me out with this new bit. So can we try What's in a Name?
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so this is What's in a Name, and this could go great, or it could just be terrible. In my mind, when I thought it up, I'm like, this would be fun. So long story short, I'm going to give you 2 names. The names are similar. You just pick which one you prefer of those names. And I think we'll learn a little bit about Kellin from Sleeping with Sirens. All right, so let's start off easy. Billy Squire or Billy Corgan?
Billy Corgan.
Fruit by the Foot or Fruit Stripe Gum?
Fruit by the Foot.
Nice, good call. Bungle in the Jungle or Welcome to the Jungle?
Bungle in the Jungle or Welcome to the Jungle? What is Bungle in the Jungle?
Oh, that's the old Jethro Tull song. Bungle in the Jungle.
I guess Welcome to the Jungle, although I don't think I'm a fan of either of those songs.
All right, good to know. Not on the playlist. That's fine. Betty Crocker or Betty White?
Betty White.
Vanilla Ice or Ice Cube?
Ice Cube.
Robert De Niro or Robert Redford?
De Niro.
Everybody Wang Chung or Everybody Was Kung Fu Fighting?
Wang Chung, dude.
Yes, I was hoping you'd say that. Bee Gees or B-52s?
The Bee Gees, but again, these 2 are probably both artists that I would not have on my playlist.
You don't do a lot of disco dancing in your free time? No, probably not.
Interestingly enough, I do. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, last one for you. LA Guns or Guns N' Roses?
LA Guns.
Nice. Going with the deep one. All right, there you go. I think that went pretty well. That's What's in a Name. Very nice.
I like it. Very fun. Thank you.
All right. Well, once again, everyone, go get it if you haven't yet. The latest album from Sleeping with Sirens, Complete Collapse. It's out. Go get it. Go see the fellas. Go rock out with them. Kellin, thank you so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This is the JJO Discover New Music Podcast. Listen, rate, share, subscribe. Discover new music now at WJJO.com, in the JJO app, or wherever you get your podcasts. Brock has a new interview every Thursday evening between 6 and 7. 94.1 JJO.